Yo, what's good, you beautiful degenerates? Welcome back to the channel where we watch entitled control freaks get absolutely wrecked by their own brain-dead rules. I'm your narrator, and today we're diving into 3 delicious malicious compliance stories that'll have you cackling like hyenas. These aren't just petty wins. These are full-on train wrecks where some loudmouth in charge demands blind obedience, and the universe serves them exactly what they ordered, with a side of humiliation. First up, we've got this absolute walnut of a boss who thought he could play Big Brother in the office. Picture this: mid-level manager at a sales department, fresh off a promotion, strutting around like he invented management. Let's call him Kevin because every office has a Kevin. Kevin gathers the team one Monday morning with that smug little smirk and drops his genius decree. From now on, I want every single one of you to CC me on every email you send. No exceptions. I need to have full visibility into everything happening in this department. Oh, this genius gave an order with all the confidence of someone who's never been right in his life. Why was it unreasonable? This team was firing off hundreds of emails a day. Client pitches, contract negotiations, internal updates, vendor back and forths. Kevin was already buried in meetings and PowerPoints he barely understood. But no, Captain Micromanagement here wanted to feel important by getting flooded with every little thing. Nothing is more dangerous than a control freak with bad judgment and an inflated ego. So our hero, the employee who's had enough of Kevin's crap, decides to comply. Perfectly. To the letter. He starts CCing Kevin on literally everything. Every client reply, every team status update, every single, "Hey, can we reschedule that call?" email. And here's where it gets beautifully evil. He even starts turning casual team conversations into emails and CCs the boss. Thoughts on lunch? CC Kevin. When Kevin sends out his own dumb memo, the guy replies, all with CC back to Kevin. The inbox avalanche begins. Within days, Kevin's email is a nightmare wasteland. Thousands of messages piling up. He can't find the important stuff from the actual executives. He's missing deadlines left and right because he's spending hours every day just trying to dig through the spam tsunami he himself ordered. The whole department's productivity is circling the drain. Clients are pissed, deals are slipping. The fallout? Glorious. The big boss, the actual CEO, calls an emergency meeting because a major account almost walked due to a missed communication. Kevin storms in trying to throw his team under the bus. These people aren't communicating properly. But our malicious complier just calmly pulls up the email thread and says, "Sir, I was following Kevin's direct instructions to CC him on everything. Here are the 47 emails from last week alone." Kevin's face, priceless. Turned beet red, stuttering like an idiot. The CEO rips into him right there. "You wanted visibility? Well, now you're buried in it. This is on you." Kevin had to send out a humiliating company-wide email rescinding his stupid rule and basically admitting he couldn't handle his own policy. The team roasted him for months. Imagine being this bossy, this smug, and this unbelievably unprepared for consequences. That outcome was so deserved it should be framed and hung in the break room. But if you thought Kevin's email apocalypse was bad, buckle up because our next story takes us to a factory floor where another power-tripping supervisor decided to become the king of rules. This guy, let's call him Steve the safety Nazi, had just come back from some corporate training and was on a pathetic power trip. He calls a team meeting and declares with all the authority of a mall cop, "Effective immediately, we are following the standard operating procedure manual to the exact letter. Every step, every time. No shortcuts, no using your judgment. I don't want to hear, 'That's how we've always done it.' Comply or there will be consequences." This idiot was on such a pathetic power trip he practically packed snacks for it. The SOP manual was this thick, outdated book full of bureaucratic nonsense written for perfect conditions, not the real messy factory world. It had steps for everything that would slow production to a snail's pace if followed literally. Why ridiculous? Because common sense fixes for small issues that took 2 minutes now required stopping everything, filling forms, waiting for approval, documenting like it was a NASA launch. Our worker, fed up with Steve's constant yelling, decides to give him exactly what he wants. First minor jam on the line. Instead of the usual quick adjustment everyone did, he hits the big stop button, follows the manual, page 1, notify supervisor in writing, fill out incident report form A47, wait for Steve to come inspect personally, get signature, etc. A 5-minute fix turns into a 2-hour production halt. Then it happens again with a small spill. And again with a tool calibration. The line grinds to a near stop. Quotas missed by miles. The factory is losing money hand over fist. Workers are standing around twiddling thumbs while Steve runs around like a headless chicken trying to keep up with all the approvals he demanded. The fallout was chef's kiss. Upper management shows up for an emergency audit because shipments are delayed and customers are screaming. Steve tries to blame the employees for not being efficient, but the team has documentation for days. Every single step followed per his verbal and written orders. One guy even recorded the meeting where Steve said exact letter. Steve gets dragged into the office and reamed out. You turned a smooth operation into a circus with your rules. He's demoted to some desk job where he can't destroy anything, and the SOP gets updated with common sense clause. Our complier gets a quiet nod from the real bosses. If you want to micromanage every breath, do not act shocked when it backfires spectacularly. Steve learned that the hard way. That was so satisfying, I need a cigarette. Speaking of people who shouldn't be trusted with any authority whatsoever, our third story brings us to the wonderful world of shady landlords. This guy was a classic slumlord, pinching pennies and treating his tenants like inconveniences. He sends out this condescending email to everyone. To streamline things, any repair requests or maintenance issues must be submitted in writing via email or letter at least 48 hours in advance. No phone calls accepted for non-emergencies. I expect full compliance with this new policy. This cheapskate was trying to avoid being bothered while collecting rent like clockwork. Unreasonable? Hell yes. Leaks, electrical glitches, heating issues don't wait for your paperwork. But he insisted, thinking it would make him look professional and cut down on his workload. One tenant who dealt with this clown's nonsense before, leaky roof he'd been complaining about, decides to play by the new rules. Small drip starts one evening. Instead of calling, he sits down, writes a polite, detailed, formal email describing the issue with photos attached, timestamps it, and hits send. Then he waits. Exactly 48 hours. No follow-up calls, nothing. Meanwhile, a big storm rolls in. The drip turns into a waterfall. Water damage spreads fast, ruined ceilings, soaked carpets, and it starts leaking into the unit below. By the time the 48 hours are up and the landlord finally responds with, "I'll look into it," the apartment is a disaster zone. The fallout? Epic and expensive. The downstairs neighbor files a complaint, insurance gets involved, and they discover the landlord ignored an escalating issue because of his own dumb policy. He ends up on the hook for thousands in repairs, mold remediation, temporary housing for tenants, and even faces potential fines for negligence. Tenants band together and threaten to break leases. The slumlord is left scrambling, looking like the incompetent, cheap idiot he was. He tried to control everything and ended up drowning in his own rules, literally. They demanded exact compliance and then cried when exact compliance showed up. Beautiful. Whew. What a trio of glorious disasters. These stories prove that nothing destroys an arrogant fool faster than their own words coming back to bite them. So hit me in the comments. Which one of these malicious compliances was the most satisfying for you? The email tsunami, the factory shutdown, or the landlord flood? Let me know your winner. Like this video if you're Team Petty Revenge. Subscribe for more savage Reddit stories every week. And I'll see you in the next one where we roast even more clowns. Stay savage out there.